start the recording, and then I will just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Alright, cool.
Okay, so
Defend objective A.
Try to keep yourselves in one piece. I don't mind an easy ride.
maybe like a second too early there, but nothing
Yeah,
super major.
yeah. I was definitely trying confused on like my time in there.
Mm-hmm.
All
Okay,
better.
nice.
Now,
Okay, did they swap the Widowmaker? No, they did not. So one thing here that did we? Sorry, my question is, did we ever see that they were on
all
Widow when the Widow grappled it initially? Or did we just see her through the
Um,
wall? It's possible. Okay, so we saw her shoot a shot. So
okay,
here in
yeah,
this situation, right, we have a couple things that tell us that they're on Widowmaker, right? We saw her shoot this shot. We might hear her shooting, right? We have the option to press tab and see that she's on Widowmaker. And the one thing I'm concerned about here is that we
targets in
don't
sight.
really, like, watch how we just kind of, like, here in a moment when we like right now we're fine because Widowmaker's not
mhm,
peeking us and we're good. But here in a moment when we start to shoot at the Genji, we kind of
All
peek to this
better.
far right side and like hard scope where if
yeah,
Widowmaker had been like looking down this angle, we just get domed in the head, right? So
yeah.
maybe just being slightly careful now that we know that they're on Widowmaker, right? And being careful about that line of sight. Uh-oh.
I remember
Right.
this play.
So in this situation, right? So
Mhm.
obviously deaths are bad, right? We'll go more in depth on this if we need to, but obviously deaths are bad. But we want to identify like why are we dying, so we can look to stop them, from
Yeah.
happening. Look to stop dying. In this situation, why do you think we died?
I feel like I definitely should have paid more attention to the Ryan and the Diva flanking left.
Yeah, so you definitely hit the nail on the head, right? And that
Yeah,
is awareness, right? Paying attention to your surroundings. As here, it's very, very easy to see Brian on left side. We saw him go left side, right? And we can hear him
yeah,
on the left side. I mean, he has big, clunky footsteps. Yeah, we don't really seem to be paying too much attention to it, and then as a result, we end up dying. That might, that might be a one-off thing, or it could be like very consistent. In any case, it's still a mistake. Make sure paying attention to our surroundings, right?
yeah. It kind of in my mind, I was thinking like the Gidget was so far right, he was kind of out of position, so it was just like
Mhm.
try to get him out the way. But yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely should have
which
prioritized the
definitely, I mean,
Ryan Diva.
that definitely is completely fine, but it's always more of a priority to stay alive than to get a single
Yeah,
kill, right?
definitely.
Going one for one is a very terrible trait on DPS. You want to look to stay alive so you can have the potential to do more things, right?
Time to change.
I'm overloading.
Yeah, nice dynamite. Dynamite so far been looking pretty solid. Okay. Request healing. This will get you healing faster. It'll let them know that you need healing. The same way that you can hear a big clunky Reinhardt behind you, right? Your
Yeah.
supports can hear when you press the button, and then therefore it lets them know where you are on the map. So in this situation, I'll just get you healing faster, so you're not sitting at 80 HP, and then get like hit by like 2 Genji
You
shurikens
need to
and you're
learn the
dead.
rules.
Definitely.
All right, because we're still sitting at it, just not going to be too great. So far, looking, besides that first death, everything is looking okay.
Walk it off.
Regen up.
You're covered.
Alright, so in between fights, we want to be repositioning to the best place possible so that we have the best positioning. Like, in between fights, usually we have a good chunk of time. Like, there we
Okay.
maybe had like 15 seconds where we could have been
Yeah.
rotating, could have been getting to the best spot. In this, in this point, where do you think is the best spot to be like resetting up?
Um. Okay. I kind of want to say right where that boat is on point.
Up here?
That would be yeah, maybe one of the best points considered. It looks like they're going they're trying to go right side.
Okay.
So,
Would that not like so like so this is an option, right? Okay.
uh,
And this is what you're picking. So in this situation, let's go through some of like the checkboxes. So I think that this is good positioning, but I think that this is the wrong positioning for their approach. I think this
Okay.
would be good positioning for when they get to point. But from here, if they're like walking in during this entire approach here, where like they're just
Yeah.
walking down this very, very long, no man's land. We don't have to go into the
Yeah.
terminology, but they're walking through this wide open space and choke points and stuff like that. We can't see any of that from here, right? And we also can't really do
Gotcha.
very much damage from this distance. So I'd probably say no, not really great. Down
Uh,
here, good.
okay.
Mhm. Down here
So
again, very far away, very little damage, not a high ground as well. Go ahead.
what about where the ball is?
Yep, I would probably say that this is exactly where you want to be, right? To
Okay.
start off at the very least, right? Because
I
from good.
okay.
Mhm.
I was kind of thinking like that's where I should be when you asked me the question, but
Mhm.
it seemed kind of like seem a little out of position, I guess you can say, considering how my team's not very far. I mean,
Yeah.
not very close.
Yeah, well, so like in this situation, right, we can take a
Mhm.
look at it, right, and we go, okay, so on their team, we had like Zenyatta can't do squat to me, Ana
Mhm.
can't do squat, Reinhardt can't do squat, right? Diva can boost up to me, in which case, what's her getaway? Well, we can just drop to our team and be relatively fine. We have Coach Gun that we can just boost away with and be fine, right? They have Genji and Hanzo,
Okay.
same thing, just easily get away if we see them coming at us, right? So we
Okay.
have very easy escape routes if we need it, because all like literally like look how close Reinhardt is, right? If we
Yeah.
need to, all we have to do is just drop down and Reinhardt's in front of us, right, in pretty much instantly. We just need to be careful and be ready to get away, but this gives us a high ground advantage, which we'll go into if we need to, but high ground's great, right? Besides that, one of the bigger things is that like this actually gives you line of sight and you're a lot closer than when you're like all the way back here or up here where you're like really far away, which means they're not really doing any damage at all. So
Okay.
probably say this is where you want to start off. Now, once they come in and maybe they press you off, then we'd come back to this high ground whenever we get the chance, because now this is going
Gotcha.
to give us sightlines over point, right? So it's kind of that step one, step two type of idea.
I need healing.
Let's
All right. So let's talk about flicking. So flicking, right, is what we do here when
Mhm.
we're aiming, right? That is
Okay.
anytime our crosshair travels somewhere very, very fast. So notice how when we are shooting through this, just watch our crosshair and how we kind of go bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right, and it's a very large drag every time you do it. So
Yeah.
watch in a moment
I
here.
kind of
Shoot, look down. Good.
yeah, I kind of picked up like a habit of doing that whenever I play as.
Yep. So, let's just talk about it, talk about why it's bad, talk about how we can try to fix it. Right. So
Okay.
here with Diva, right, just look at it, right, we'll be looking at her, we shoot, and then we look down at the floor, right? And then we look back up, and then
Yeah.
we look down, and we look up, and then we look at these guys, then we go bottom left, and we look, and then we go, oh, right? So it was like kind of up, down, left,
Yeah.
up, left. So why flicking is situational, right? There's situations where it is good, situations where it is bad. Situations
Okay.
where it is good is if, let's say, you have a very fast moving target like a tracer. If tracer just blinked behind us, well, now we have to flick around very, very fast to look at tracer,
Okay.
right? You can flick if somebody sneaks up behind you. You can flick if, let's say, we're aiming down main and then all of a sudden Hanzo pops up on the top left high ground. Well, now we have to flick up to shoot at Hanzo, right? Because
Okay.
we're acquiring a new target. Our crosshair has to move fast to get to him. Now, when flicking is not necessary is when we're already aiming straight at somebody, right? If we're already aiming straight at Reinhardt, then flicking's not going to really do anything except for just put our crosshair off of him, or at least make him more likely to miss the shot, right? It's
Gotcha.
kind of counterproductive, right, in that sense.
I guess you
So,
could say
good.
it's
Mhm.
kind of situational.
Yeah.
So like you said before, let's say like a Genji pops up from the right side and
Mhm.
you're already like scoped down towards main.
Mhm.
I would like kind of flick over to the right to try to
Yeah,
get
exactly.
that Genji.
But then once you're already
Okay.
looking at Genji, like once you flick over to him, then now you
Yeah.
might stop
Go back.
flicking, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You
Makes
go to
sense.
tracking, right? So that's what I would recommend, because otherwise it's just not really gonna be great for you.
Okay.
Now, like if you feel like it's a like bad habit and breaking bad habits, do you feel like that's something you'd like to just discuss? Because honestly, that's a point I'd be happy to discuss. Is just how do you improve and break bad habits and make good habits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
basically, I feel like while I'm shooting, I say especially with Ash, also maybe with McCree, um, during those like intervals while it's before my next shot, I'll just kind of like go back flick, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know how that happened, but I just kind of developed a habit of that.
Yep. So let's talk on breaking bad habits or forming good habits
Okay.
and what that looks like. Well, how you do that is the same way that you improve or get better or do anything that you're trying to do within life or in the game. And that
Yeah.
is while you are going through your gameplay, you're going to focus on the thing you're trying to improve on or the bad habit you're trying to break. So that means you're not going to be autopiloting, you're not going to be just playing to play. And contrary to popular belief, a lot of the times is that you're not going to be solely focusing on winning, as solely focusing on winning can lead to stagnation where you don't go anywhere. Whereas focusing on improvement leads to you actually improving and winning.
Improving.
So what that looks like within your gameplay. So let's take, for example, flick aiming. Right. So we're going to be thinking in our heads while we're playing, aim, 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 aim. Right. And
Yeah.
we're thinking constantly about how we're aiming and making sure we're concentrating on not randomly flicking and flicking when it's necessary. Right. And because
Definitely.
we're putting in the conscious effort, well, I would imagine if we're putting in the conscious effort, we're not going to be making the same mistake over and over again if we're thinking about it, right? So then when you do that for a long enough period of time, that forms it as a habit, or at least, it breaks down the bad habit, forms new good habits. Now you no longer have to worrying about it. You don't need to focus on it nearly as much because it just kind of comes naturally to you. Um, and then you can move on to something else after that point, right? I would recommend
Okay.
don't try to do everything all at once. We're going to talk about a lot of things during the session. Don't
Okay.
try to do it all, that'll get overwhelming. Instead, focus on one category of things or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category.
Okay. Makes
Okay?
sense.
So then let's see, moving on. We end up dying. Why did we die here?
Diva bomb.
Okay. So, in this situation, right? We've died 2 minutes and 2 minutes 40 seconds.
Mm,
Um, we'll see if it keeps up. If it keeps up, then we'll talk on more in depth on that. But for the
okay.
moment, let's just think: why did we die to that bomb? What do you think the reason was we died to that?
Um, I say the main reason. As soon as I died, I remember playing this. It was definitely kind of me just not paying attention at all.
Yep.
Me focused on what was in front of me, but not actually the diva bomb that was top right.
Again, I would agree with you, right? Because you could make a case to say that this has to do with cover usage because you need to be able to get cover to get away from the bomb. But I say that's step two, right? The step one is
Definitely.
knowing that the bomb's there in the first place, and we didn't even look up at the bomb until it exploded on us. So
Yeah.
making sure that we are paying attention because so far that's gotten us killed twice, right? And that's not very good if we're getting killed twice. And then that paying attention is how you get better at that is the same thing we just talked about, is making sure you're paying attention to paying attention.
Objective lost. Smoke him out of there. The payload. Healing you now.
All right. So let us talk about off angling. But
Okay.
to talk about off angling, first you need to talk about target priority, right? So when it comes to target priority of who should you be shooting at, the basis of target priority is you want to shoot at the easiest things to kill and the highest value things to kill. Highest value is very situational, and is harder to apply, but the very easy one to apply is who is the easiest to kill. Typically, tanks are not the easiest things to kill, and therefore you don't want to spend a lot of your gameplay shooting at tanks. Tanks have 2 to 3 times health of other characters. They have armor, tanking abilities, right? And then on top of all that, right, even though they're a very important role, their job is to create space, whereas the job of DPS is to output damage and supports output healing, but tanks don't output a statistical output, right? So,
Definitely.
um, typically want to shoot at DPS and damage. Like, I don't think that this particularly, so far, at least from what I've seen, is a big, massive issue. I just want to put that context into place for when we talk about off angling. So as of the moment, we are standing on the main angle. This is the main angle, right? Because both teams are both focusing primarily on this main angle. Usually the main angle is just straight down mid, right?
Uh-huh.
Excuse me, I have to cough here. All right, so then an off angle is anything that is not the main angle. So that could be taking this left room. That could be taking, this right side if we're already on high ground, maybe, right?
Okay.
It could be taking this high ground. This is off angling. Now, off angling, usually how you define off angling is short and it is safe. So it doesn't take you very long to do it and it is very safe. You're not very likely to die on an off angle. Whereas
Okay.
a
Gotcha.
flank, right? A flank is different. You might have heard of a. I imagine
Mm,
you've probably heard of a flank, right?
yeah.
It's different from an off angle as a flank is long and or dangerous. So flank would be like the difference would be like let's say we're like already here and we decide to go left side. This is an off angle, right? Or I guess let's say this, right? We're yeah, okay, so let's just use this example, right? We're already right here. We decide to go left side and we shoot them through here. That's an off angle. Took us like 3 seconds. A flank would be like if we went all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, and then did this, right? Now it took you a little bit longer, and then on top of that, this is a lot less safe, right? You're
Yeah.
not going to have
Makes sense.
as many teammates to help you out, right? So in this situation, right, we want to take off angles primarily because it gets us around the tanks and the shields to the things we want to shoot at. It means that we create a crossfire effect. Now they're confused. Do we look at Ashe? Do we look at the team? Now they're not going to dedicate as much resources to either of you because you're splitting their attention. Um, so there's a lot of benefits that come along with this, right? On top of that, you get a surprise advantage. They don't know that, like, where you are for a first second or two, right? Um, so in this situation, probably say down main's not where we want to be. So probably since we are already top right, just taking on top of this thing would probably be the most optimal positioning.
Okay.
You don't even need to use a coach gun to get up here. You can just get up there. Any character in the game can get up here by walking up to the leg and just jumping up, right? And you can just jump up the leg, walk
Go
around,
around.
come to this side, jump up this, right? You can stand on top, right? So any character in
Okay.
the game can get up here. Probably just be really good positioning. Let's talk about high ground positioning real quick because there's been a couple times where we've been on the low ground where probably would
Yeah.
have liked to see us being on the high ground. So let's talk about why you want to be on high ground. So we haven't talked about cover usage yet because I haven't seen that we need it. But in general, good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. There's a big difference between us standing here, right, and us standing here, right? Because now we can go boop. Now you can't see me, right? Now high grounds, right? When we're up on a high ground, right? The whole thing acts as natural cover, so they can see us. We back away, now they can't, right? We crouch, same thing, right? They can't see us anymore. So the whole high ground acts as natural cover. We're here, now they can't see us, right? Um, so that's one reason why high ground's good. Second reason is because most characters in the game can't reach you. Now on their team, they do have a couple characters that can, but in general, 2/3 of the characters in the game can't actually make it to high grounds, right? So just let's take a look at some of the characters right now, right? We have Ana, Zenyatta, right? Reinhardt. Then on our team, we have Reinhardt, we have Tor, we have Ana, right? So in this game, half of the characters cannot immediately get to high ground, and then the other half, most of them need to use abilities, right?
Yeah.
Diva, Wrecking Ball need to use abilities to get up there, right? So therefore, high ground gives you an extra layer of survivability, right? It means that you can stay alive longer because less people can reach you, right? Thirdly, high ground gives you a ton of visibility. Compare the visibility of where we're at right now, right? Where we can see absolutely nothing or maybe at best one person to the visibility of this where we can see literally all of
The
everything,
whole team. Yeah.
right? So high ground's great. Look to take high ground. Off angles are great. Look to take off angles. Let's see how we use Bob. because I imagine we're going to talk about something very similar here in a moment. Right, notice the very hard flicking, right? Just while we're shooting a Reinhardt, just watch it.
Lights off.
Just like pretty much every shot.
Into the iris. Regen burst activated. Crusaders acting out the welcome mat.
Question.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Was it a good thing to leave the Genji alone, or should I have kind of like went after him?
Here it comes.
Alright, so in this situation, right, first off, we missed the dynamite. Landing dynamite would have been a good idea.
Okay.
We saw they went right side. Honestly, like, if you don't see an opportunity to kill him, that's completely fine to leave him, right? I don't think there's any
Okay.
problem with leaving him here. Because if he's out of the fight and you're in the fight, then you're getting value. And in this
Okay.
situation, like, look how far away he is. Now, if you, like, if you knew that he was, like, on the lower end and you heard him, like, above you or something, maybe we could have coach gunned up and shot at him, but, like, we don't know where the heck he went. So,
Okay.
therefore, honestly, there's not any problem at all with just ignoring him.
Okay. Yeah, I figured that it was probably better to just leave
Mm-hmm.
him alone and try to fight the team in front of me.
Yep. Alright, so now we're up. That's a good idea.
Amplification matrix on this chart.
Okay. Say probably in that situation the bad thing was that we instead of dropping like back to the right on the the top right high ground, we dropped back
Okay.
toward down main. Right. So in that situation, like if you're looking to back up towards the better positioning.
Somebody get me some healing. I'm under attack.
Okay, good requesting of healing.
Better.
Okay. Let's compare this again, right? What do you think
Okay.
one other benefit of being top right versus right here might be?
Definitely visibility.
Visibility, or maybe something we haven't mentioned yet, or sorry, something we didn't mention last time we talked about high ground. Or
Yeah.
I think we have mentioned it briefly this game
Yeah.
last time. So I'll just say come on, say it. And that is us being close to them, right?
Okay.
Much closer. Now let's talk about real quick why do we want to be closer to them, right? You want to be closer to them for two big old reasons,
Okay.
right? So reason why you want to be close to them,
My
reason
business,
number one is
my
because when you are very far away, targets are very small, and smaller targets are much harder to hit, right? It's much harder to hit this target than it is to hit, these guys right here because they're bigger targets, right? So you're going to be missing more
Okay.
shots when you're far away, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, you also, on top of that, have fall off damage, right? You probably might be familiar with this, but let's just make sure you're very familiar with this,
Yeah.
right? If we are standing right here, 1, 2, 3 shot kill, right? That's fine and dandy, right? We back up just a little bit, right? Let's see here, is it the same? Right, okay, we're good. Let's go back to 30 meters, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, so I'm surprised, right? 30 meters, right? 35. Let's try from here. 1, 2, 3. Right now you see the fall off damage coming in, right?
Yeah.
Now you see 4 shots are needed, right? So now we're starting to see fall off damage. Just go back to 45 meters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, so now we're doing
poser.
literally, half damage from
Yeah.
just that difference of, I think 10 meters, right? Is
Definitely.
that what that? Oh, sorry, 15 meters, right? So you go 15 meters back, and then all of a sudden you are doing half of the damage you were doing, right? So we definitely want to make sure, right? We go max distance, probably doing a lot less. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we just want to make sure we're being careful, right? So Ashe, to make sure we're not doing that, is going to have a preferred distancing, right? Of probably, what did we say? It was 35 3 still. 35 is 4. So maybe like 4s are like our cap. So we'd say maybe like 35 to say maybe like 20, right? So 20 to
Okay.
35 would be like our preference range. And
Okay.
then a little bit further, a little bit closer is possible if needed, right? But we're spending a
You need to
lot of
learn
time, I'd
rules.
say, at the very end of this. Like I say, we're spending a lot of time at like this very max range, right, where we're 35 plus, right? And
Yeah.
then therefore we're not doing as much damage as we could be doing, right? Or at least also not being accurate, right? So we have
Gotcha.
the potential to be doing, like 3 times less effectivity, right, from that range. Right, so we're on Blizzard World, I think.
Welcome to Blizzard. Ready for battle.
Amplification.
Don't waste my time.
Okay, I've seen a couple times where we've used left click in maybe situations where it hasn't really been great. Not like super terrible, but like in general, left click has a specific uses and times where it's not needed. When it is needed is when like something's really close to you and you're finishing them off, or even like a moderate distance away and you're finishing them off, right? That's typically when left click is needed. Or sorry, unscoped shots is what I mean by left click. Unscoped shots. Besides that, you can maybe also unscope shots, like if you're trying to melt something really, really fast, and you don't really need your bullets for anything else. But in the middle of a fight, a lot of times, like you don't want to just use left click randomly because it eats away at your bullets very, very fast, right? You're just not gonna have bullets to work with, and it's not really a good bang for your buck, right? Scope shots are gonna be a lot better bang for your buck to go for, right? Now in this situation, Bob placement. Yeah, bob placement's fairly solid, yeah. Good bomb.
Don't waste my time.
My ultimate is charging.
Let's analyze this for half a second. Alright, so first off, look at the fact, like, let's look at the situation. Right, so shot, we're aiming straight at him. Right, let's look right before we shoot. That one was fine, we didn't flick too much, right? Aiming straight at him, we hit him. Right, aiming straight at him. Oh, that one was hard to see. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to see it. Right, so, sorry, one moment, my little brother. Sorry about that. A little bit of an
Yeah,
interruption.
you're fine, bro.
All right. So, in this situation, sorry, one more time, going through this.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. So I'm seeing a little bit of flicking here again. Let's see. Can we see like it affecting anything? So we're on him right now, right?
Uh huh.
And we could be shooting there, but then like right before we shoot, we end up we flick there,
Clicking.
right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Right. So right there at the very end, we saw it.
How about a little extra here? My ultimate is ready.
All right. So that is that is the cue to talk about cover usage.
Yeah.
Right? So good positioning is the usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover. So if we are standing right here, right, we don't have any cover anywhere, right? It takes us to get to cover, right, in the nearest direction, like 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover, right? So in that time, we end up dying to bomb, right?
Okay.
Now if we, for example, are already standing right here, well, now bomb comes and now it takes us half a second duck band cover. Anybody shoots at us, whatever, right? Takes us
Yeah.
half a second, which is gonna be 6 times faster, right, than the 3 seconds it took us previously. So therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover, right? And there's
Okay.
cover all over the place, right? We have random pillars, we have doorways, right? First here we were in cover, we saw the bomb and we left cover, which is pretty funny, right? So watch this, where we're right
Yeah.
here and we see bomb happen, right? And we're look how close we are. We're like, maybe like a second and a half, 2 seconds away, and we see bomb and then we run away from the cover out into the open, right? And then would have died to that, right,
Yeah.
if not for the lamp. Um, Besides that, right, covers all over the place. We already talked to high ground this cover, right? Doorway, random pillar, right? We have this random object. We have corners, right? Something,
Okay.
walls, wall, right? corner acts as cover, right? They can see us. Now they can't, right? So there's cover all over the place. Look to use it. Don't stand out in the open. It's going to keep us from dying and taking a bunch of unnecessary damage. Very nice.
Let them iris.
Okay. Firstly, if we see that they're in the middle of trancing, might wait
Uh-huh.
to use your dynamite for
Dynamite.
after they're done trancing, so we can actually
Okay.
get value out of the ability besides just ult charge off of it. Secondly, we end up just missing it.
Okay.
Am I wrong to think that you might have a high sensitivity here? Do you mind, like, what was your sensitivity in DPI?
Okay, so my DPI is somewhere over 2000, I think.
Okay, and then do you know
And
what your in-game is?
um I think it's somewhere around 9. If not, yeah, it should be 9.
All right. So, right, for reference,
Okay.
so here, you have an eDPI, which is your DPI by your sensitivity, right? And this is
Okay.
going by the low ball here for the 2000, like you said, right? You have an eDPI of 18,000. Now, for comparison, I would say that I have a very kind of standardized low sensitivity, so I have like an average low end sense, and mine
Okay.
is 3,600, right? So you have, like, if we just divide that, right, 3,600, you have 5 times my sensitivity, right? So when I do a 360, you do a
7.
1,800, right?
Yeah.
So for this one, slightly preference based, I would probably say that most of the gaming community agrees that lower sensitivities are going to lead to higher accuracy, especially in
Okay.
terms of headshot capability, because you have to go for pixel perfect shots, and if you're trying to hit headshots, you gotta
Okay.
be able to aim accurately. Besides that, that can help with things such as stopping you from randomly flicking, because now you actually have to consciously move your whole arm instead of just moving half an inch and then flicking, right? Besides that, it can have health benefits such as not, keeping away carpal tunnel, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you can
Yeah.
develop that from wrist aiming. But besides that, there are people who do high sensitivities, like Pine, for example, from the Overwatch League. He's a DPS
Uh,
player who has a high sense, and he's an Overwatch League player, so it is possible. But it's up to you. I might recommend going with a lower one. Try it out.
okay.
Do you have what size mouse pad do you have? Do you have a like just small, large? What?
I would say it's pretty large.
All right, that's fine. I just would need to confirm, because like if you have a very tiny one, then it's not going to work to lower your sensitivity too far.
Okay.
But yeah, if you have a large one, you shouldn't find any problem. Just keep in mind, like, try lowering it out, see how it works. Don't expect it to feel good after the first hour, or
Okay.
or day, right? If it
Yeah.
still feels like crap after 3 days, then think about swapping it up and changing it around. But expect to have some growing pains where you're not used to it for a little bit, right?
Yeah. What
So
would
that
you say would
good.
be the most ideal kind of sensitivity?
So I mean, if you want a little bit on the higher end, go ahead and put it
Uh-huh.
on a little bit on the higher end. So like
Okay.
a good baseline is, at the very, very minimum, you should be able to do a full 360 from left to right on your mouse pad.
Okay.
From here on my mouse space, I can start on the all the way left and go to the right and be able to do a 360. That was just my end, right?
Gotcha.
That is the very minimum of what you should be able to do. If you're spinning around like 4 or 5 times when you do that, right? Like, then that's a little bit like much,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
If it's less than that, then that means you're not going to be able to do turns too well.
Okay.
So what that means
Yeah.
is that, like, from me starting in the middle point of my mat, someone's behind me. Either way I turn, I can do a 180, right? So
Okay. Yeah.
180, 180, right? Either way. So base point, try it out at, like, that would be a very minimum that low. Maximum, I'd say you're a little bit above the maximum, I'd say, right? Or a little far, right? But
Definitely.
besides, yeah.
When I do a left to right, I don't even use like 1/4 of my mouse pad.
So yeah, try lowering it, see how it feels, right? I don't think you need to. It doesn't have to be my sensitivity, and it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be like you could. I honestly say you could have like 2 times my sense and be within the realm of reasonability, but
Okay.
5 times my sense is a little bit is
Yeah.
a little bit much, right?
Definitely.
And requesting healing. All right, I wasn't paying attention. What was happening in that fight? Um, when they're trancing, maybe play a little bit more passive. Make sure when we're
Okay.
shooting that we're not just like standing still here. Like, why don't we talk about that? So first off, just make sure we're not standing still for too long. Like even if we're dynamiting, if there's people staring at you, you don't want to stand still for a dynamite because then that means that people can free shoot at us, right? Now
Okay.
besides that,
My business,
let's talk
my
about 80
rules.
strafing because I just saw us doing something there that wasn't bueno. So when we are moving around, right? First off, we don't want to make sure we're standing still, so we do is we 80 strafe. That just means left, right, left, right.
Okay.
There are ways that you can do this incorrectly. First off, don't just go don't do WS. WS does nothing, right?
Yeah.
We just did that where we just did this. This doesn't accomplish anything. Look at the bot and look at where our crosshair is. Our crosshair stays on the bot the entire time, right? While we're doing
I
that. So
stick up for my
just going
crew.
forwards backwards it doesn't really accomplish very much at all, right? Unless you're the exception would be like if you're to the side of them, right? Like, so for
Yeah.
example, if they're shooting at us and we're going like this, right? Because now we're basically 80 strafing, right? In
Okay.
from their perspective, right?
Yeah.
If we did this, then that would us be moving just straight in the line of sight. It wouldn't do anything, right? So you move opposite of the direction where they're looking. Now you also don't want to go too fast. If we go too fast, it's the same thing. We're on them the whole time, right? Or all
Right on
or
schedule.
they're on us the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? We go too slow. Well, now we're very easy to track. They can shoot us very easily because they're in this very slow, methodical thing, whatever. Right?
Double
Yeah.
You want to find a nice medium pacing, like left, right, left, right. This puts us on either side of their heads, so that when they're shooting at us, they end up missing some shots, right? And then you also want to mix it up, add in some crouches once in a while. Don't just do
Okay.
A D A D A D, right? You don't want to do this over and over again. Mix it up. Go A D D, right? Or hold it down a little bit, right? Tap click it, right? Go back and forth, right? Mix it. Be crazy with it. You'll
Yeah.
get like honestly, it'll just become habit at some
Courtesy
point. I
of
don't
the
like honestly. I don't even know what the heck I do when I play, because like it's not. I don't think in my head I'm gonna go AD. It just
Kind of just on a
yeah,
subconscious level.
exactly, right? And that's building habits, right? I've done that for
Yeah.
doing that for 4,000 hours. You
Yeah.
don't really think about it anymore, right? So besides that, cross replacement, make sure that we are aiming head level.
right
Now
on
this is
schedule.
partially to do with like the flicking down was like, every time we flick down, like we did our flicking, we'd like, shoot, look
Yeah.
down. And then every time this just means that we're not aiming at head level, right? Crosshair placement is just placing a crosshair in the best place possible to hit the easiest and most shots. Headshots do basically 2 times the damage as body shots, right? So we want to 100% be going for headshots, not body shots. And if we're aiming at body level, now body shots just kind of come naturally. You're going to do a body shot if you're aiming there, right? Whereas if
Okay.
we are aiming at head level, well, now these just come naturally. We're like looking down a choke, shooting down a choke, shooting into a shield, shooting at people. Well, now we're just naturally getting headshots. Whereas if we're aiming at body level now, we're just naturally getting body shots. We're doing all the same things except for we're aiming in the wrong place, right? Um,
Okay.
Now on top of that, aim where you know people are going to be, right? That means that's called pre-aiming, right? If we know he's or top right, right, we're gonna pre-aim top right at head level. So when he comes around that corner, right, we're already aiming straight at his head, so we get very easy shots on him, right?
Right on
Okay.
schedule.
He's left side. We're gonna pre-aim, already looking left side. We're not gonna do a slow pan to the left. We're gonna come out aiming at him, and then that way we hit very easy shots. These guys, a little bit of a slope, so the same way we look down on a Torb and up on a tank, we're going to look down on these guys. So we can come around this corner, right? We're already aiming straight at their heads, right? Very easy shots to make, right? We don't have to do radical, like, flicks, right? If it's not necessary. So yeah, that's it for the moment.
Jesus Christ, man. I just looked it up just out of curiosity's sake,
Yep.
like the average EDPI is
Mhm.
800 DPI for and then 6 in-game sensitivity
Mm.
and how it's around like Let's see, kind
Yeah.
of around like 5,000, and how I'm at 18,000. That is crazy.
Hmm. Yep. Like so like I said, mine is like a little bit lower than that. Like I have an
Uh,
800 by 4.5, which is like I said, I think that's 3,600. So,
okay.
honestly, like if you're at like a like that I think that average what they just said is completely fine. If you're at like an
Yeah.
800 um by whatever he said, 6, right?
Yeah.
No problem at all with that. It doesn't have to be my sensitivity. Sometimes people come up and be like, "What's your sense? I want to copy it." I'm like, "No, find your own thing." It's my sense.
Yeah. I definitely will have to like play around with it, see what I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with.
Mhm. And so notice here when we throw the dynamite, look, watch how we just go forwards. Look at this. How we just go forwards and backwards, right? Forwards, backwards, right?
I didn't even. Wow.
Mhm.
Hey,
Right.
can I have a question?
Mhm.
In terms of throwing out dynamites, um, and kind of like being in the best position to shoot it and aim,
Mhm.
is it just kind of like mechanically wise, or should I be? I guess I shouldn't be standing still when I do it. I guess that's kind of that question I was
Oh, very,
asking.
very, very. No, you can 100% stand still. It just depends on the situation, right? If you like, so think of on this, right? Um, let's just look at the fight here. Um, let's say we're standing right here and we throw dynamite. Can we stand still?
Say that one more time. Sorry, I
Yeah.
was
So
drinking
let's say
water.
we are standing right here
Okay.
for whatever reason. Let's just say we're standing right here and we throw dynamite. Can we stand still when we throw the dynamite?
I would say not,
Why?
because honestly, I think they'd hear it and they just turn their attention straight to me.
They'd hear you throw the dynamite and they turn around.
Um, if not throw it, they'd definitely feel it as soon as
Feel
I
yeah,
shoot.
yeah, but you're standing still to shoot it, right?
Okay.
So, do you think that they would turn around and have the time to shoot at you before you detonate the dynamite?
Okay. Definitely. Yeah. They definitely wouldn't.
They definitely wouldn't, is what you said, yeah?
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that was wonky. The diva just materialized. What the heck? Um, so in this situation, right, I would say throwing a dynamite while standing still is completely fine because by the
Okay.
time anybody's looking at you, you're not standing still anymore, right?
Okay.
Let's say same thing like right here. We just throw dynamite. We're safe. We're good,
Yeah.
right? Let's
Definitely.
say we're standing like right here. Probably say you're still good because Anna's not gonna like kill you if you do it, right? So you should be fine. Now let's say we're standing like right here.
Mhm.
Maybe not, right?
Yeah.
Maybe might not want to consider standing still, or if like a Hanzo's staring straight at you, right? So it's situational, case by case basis. Now let's say like we're firing it, like let's just say we fire it. We know that it like if we peek to the edge here to fire it, it'd be super dangerous. Let's say we're standing like right here, right?
Okay.
And we're trying to fire it off dynamite. If we peeked here and stood still, like well Zenyatta dome us in the head, right? So what if we just like stood back here and just like fired it straight off the edge? Like we just threw it straight forwards, right? Well now we can
Yeah.
still detonate it from here, but they can't see us, right?
Okay.
So that's an idea to try out, right? Is just tossing it like forwards, like so here, like for example, we can just toss it down out, and there we're not even in their line of sight, right? Um, so situational.
Okay. Gotcha.
60 seconds remaining. When we are with us.
Okay, maybe draw. Oh wait, when did Diva fly up? Think she flight up after we turned
Yeah.
away.
I'm pretty sure she did.
Yeah. So I
I
think I think we
um
dropped not knowing she was there.
yeah, I didn't. In my
Yeah.
head,
Mm.
the was for Bob.
Mm. Bob likes off angles too, right? So when you
Okay.
place Bob, Bob most of the time wants to be behind them, right?
Okay.
So if we are throwing Bob from the front, it's not really gonna be too easy to put it behind them, right? So for example, here if we're throwing it from this angle, well now like where are we gonna go with it? Well, either Bob has to run super long to get all the way over here, right? Or we hit the Reinhardt, or he hits Cart, right? Or he hits this. Whereas if we're like top left, well now what we can do with Bob is maybe we can just throw Bob into this wall, right? Now Bob's shooting at them in the back for free, and they have to choose, do we shield Bob? Do we shield team? Do we shoot at Bob? Do we shoot team? Right? And Bob gets a lot of value, right? So I'd probably say from Bob here, like just come from the side, not the front. Possibly flicking off of him here, right? Let's look at that, right? Like on him, pretty much here, off of him, on him, off of him, right? Uh, Not on him the whole time,
Yeah,
right? So just maybe like
definitely.
over adjusting a little too much.
You have to watch out.
Dynamite.
30 seconds remaining.
Requesting healing.
Get in here.
Do you warm up before you hop into comp games?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah. Okay. How do you
Like
warm
that's
up?
what I'm getting on. There is this um workshop map.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it. It is
The
actually give me
IDD
this
QD
one.
one?
No, it's
No.
kind of like area one where they're just up in the air in like
Hmm.
circles, and it's this
Yeah. Yeah.
map.
That's what I meant. I was trying to talk about. So
Okay.
the one where they like fly through the sky is how you're talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a pretty decent one to go for.
Okay.
All right.
Is there
Um.
any more you'd recommend?
Uh, I personally would say that tryhard free. I'm an advocate of tryhard free for all. It is probably, I'd say, the
Okay.
best environment that you could possibly practice mechanics, as
Okay.
it means that you are first off, it's not unrealistic. I'd say a lot of drilly or maps or aim trainers, whatever. You're not going to have people shooting back at you. You're not going to have pressure. You're not going to be. You're going to go up against patterns in them where you can start to get used to body patterns that
Okay.
happen. Whereas in this, it's unpredictable. You have people looking back at you. It's not just a good place to practice mechanics, but also you're dueling. So you versus other people, you're 1v1ing.
Okay.
But then besides that, it's an excellent place. Like warming up, your objective while warming up is to just get your blood pumping, and it definitely does that. And there's no objectives, no teammates. It's just you and your shooting, right? So we talked about
Yeah.
before on like focusing on things. That it's an environment that allows you to pretty much purely focusing on I go pew pew, right?
Okay.
So therefore, I'd probably recommend it. It's also just very easy to fit into like while you're in queue, right? You can just queue up and then hop into a try or free for all, which you can do with a workshop map. That's fine. Honestly, I don't think that the one that you're talking about is like honestly too bad either. Like I think that
Okay.
one is pretty good. So try it free for all if you're interested. Check it out. I honestly think it's just a lot more fun as well than like it's engaging, more engaging
Yeah.
than like just shooting at bots that are flying by.
Let them out.
Okay. It's overtime, right?
Yeah.
Where's the one place that the enemy team needs to go right now?
Cart.
Okay. Where's the most dangerous place that you could possibly be standing?
Right in front of cart.
Right. So in this situation, right, we're first off no cover usage. Secondly, out in the sorry, never mind, that's the same thing. Right. No cover usage.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, standing on cart, the one place where we know people are going to be. Thirdly, not taking
Yeah.
high ground, right? So, alternatively, so not only is this super dangerous, this also does not give us good visibility at all, right? Like
Yeah.
from here, we cannot see like anything at all, right? Like we can see one person, whereas if we back up, well, now we can see the entirety of all of point. We can see Hanzo, we can see Diva, we can see Kree, right?
Yeah.
Or we go high ground, like pretty much same thing from here, right? So probably don't want to be sitting on a cart. It's not going to be great positioning. All right. Let us go over. We're gonna go over the main points of the session, do a quick
Okay.
review along with that, and then wrap up the session from
My
there.
business,
So,
Okay.
my
ability
rules.
usage, right? Ability usage. Dynamites, stand still situationally for it, not when people are staring at you. Besides that, just make sure looking to hit dynamite. I don't think it was too terrible though. Coach gun usage. I didn't say anything on it. Obviously it's not perfect, but like I didn't think
Yeah.
it was like a massive problem at all. Overall, I'd probably say ability usage went to like a low
Courtesy
priority
of
for
the
you to work
Doughnut
on.
Gang.
Um,
Okay.
Bob usage. There's like a fight where we held on to it. So like I'm honestly I didn't think we saw like a lot of situations for Bob again. Like I don't think we talked about it a ton, but
Okay.
in general, just make sure not holding on to ultimates is like that. Just means that you're not getting value out of them if you hold on to it. Besides that, just make sure putting Bob on an off angle or behind them, right? Preferably. Besides that, honestly, not a ton. I'd say maybe yeah, it's around the same as ability usage. Maybe like both of them could be like a low to medium, but we'll put it at a low again, right? Low
Okay.
priority. Mechanics, lowering sensitivity, so you're not doing this, right?
Yeah.
Besides that, reload. We can talk about reloading. Sorry,
Double stick up for my trouble.
unscoping, right? Unscope. Only do it when you're finishing off target usually. Otherwise, it's not gonna be super ammo
Definitely.
how do you say that? Sorry, not gonna be a good bang for your buck, right? You're not gonna be getting a lot out of it, and you're just gonna be wasting your ammo burning through it. Besides that, make sure we're keeping good crosshair placement.
Poser.
Aim where you know people are going to be. Aim at head level.
Double
Keep it
kill.
there. Don't flick randomly, right? Flick when it's necessary, right? When
Do I
you
have
have a
to do
fast-moving target.
everything
When you're
myself?
not looking at somebody, you have to go like this, right? But then once we're already aiming at them, now we stay on them, right?
Double
So
kill.
for an example, it would be right. We're shooting down here. Guy pops up top. We flick up, and then we stay, and then we don't like
Don't
have
mess
to
with
flick
me,
anymore. We
Rookie.
stay on top of them, right?
Gotcha.
Um, then besides that, we briefly talked about target priority. Maybe saw target priority happening like a little bit. Like, do we need work on? Make sure not shooting at tanks and DPS. Or sorry, not shooting at tanks. Right, we want to shoot at the things that are easy to kill, right, and the highest value to kill. And then overall, practicing your mechanics. Right, make sure you're
Poser.
getting better with them.
Yeah.
Overall, I'd probably say that all went to probably like a medium priority for you to work on, right?
Okay.
Double kill.
Positioning wise, make sure you are using cover. Good positioning is usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Make sure that
Okay.
you are taking high grounds. High grounds are great
You
positioning. Look
need
to
to
take them,
learn
right? A
from
lot of
me.
time, and then don't just randomly drop off from high grounds when we don't need to. Only do it like when we're pressured or we need to drop. Make sure that we are taking off angles and flanks very situationally, usually only on characters that are fast and have survivability, such as Tracer and Soldier, both of who are very fast and have a lot of self-sustainability.
Poser.
Ashe is neither of those, so you're not going to be flanking a whole lot on Ashe,
Double
where you
kill.
might on some other characters, right?
Smoke 'em
Um,
out of there.
Besides that, make sure we're keeping them within our appropriate distances and ranges, right? On Ashe, that your preferred range is 20 to 35. Beyond that, you're struggling because you're doing a lot less damage while also shooting harder targets to hit, right? Um, then besides
Fresh
that, I think that's
eyes.
pretty much it within positioning. So
Okay.
don't stand the card, right? When the round's about to end.
Double kill.
And that is about it. So overall, that one probably goes to like a medium high priority for you to work on, right? Awareness, paying attention to your environment. Watch your health. Request healing when you're low. Watch. Let's see what else is there. Paying attention to people who are around you, so we're not getting snuck up on by Reinhardt. Real quickly, since we have the time, some things to mention with audio awareness, sound settings. Turn up a regular volume if needed. Turn down
Okay.
music volume or off is might be a recommendation, as this can clutter with your audio. If you do not already have it enabled, check if you do. Surround sound is almost a must have, right? This gives you a sound that surrounds you. It lets you hear
Okay.
better around you. If you do not have it as an option for your headset, in game there's an option, Dolby Atmos for headphones, right?
Okay.
So you could have all those settings be absolutely garbage and be paying
Don't
attention to
waste my
your
time.
audio and still have good audio awareness. So make sure you're listening for footsteps and gunshots and abilities and ultimates, right? Don't get caught off guard by the Reinhardt charging
Double
and the
kill.
Diva bombing, right? pay attention to your surroundings. Look at where's my team at, where's the enemy team at, and then overall that one probably went to a medium priority, but maybe like slightly below the mechanics. So let's put that in order real quick. Main point number 1 is positioning. Number 2 is mechanics. 3 is awareness. 4 is probably ultimate usage, and 5 is ability usage. You have any
Okay.
questions about anything we've gone over? Just anything else in general?
Um, I would say, how would you, how do you keep track in your mind about the other team's ultimate?
So, can you remind me what rank you're at again?
Uh, high silver logo.
Alright. I wouldn't recommend focusing too much on that at the moment. It's like that's something that gets more advanced, and
Okay.
it's kind of like there's more things that you can focus on within your gameplay that we've gone over already that would be
Okay.
more pressing than that. But they're definitely, just to give you a quick summary, is just pay attention to the last time they used it. If somebody hasn't used their ultimate in like 3 minutes, they have it, right? Some,
Okay.
2 minutes, they have it. Or just more accurately, don't look at the time. You can look at the time. Look at the fights, right? If somebody's gone 2 fights without using an ult, they probably have it, right?
Okay.
So just that's very basic, generic way to go about it. But honestly, probably prioritize some of these other things above that. Only situationally will that like lose you. Not situationally, but like honestly, there's more pressing things within your gameplay, I would say.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
No, I think you covered everything.
Yeah. So we can definitely go over that at some point. If you get up a little bit higher and feel that that's appropriate for the level, then we can definitely review that. And then there's always gonna be other things. Oh, apologies for that. So in any case, right, finishing off here, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Okay.
One moment.